Well, ahead of the results announcement on Monday, protesters clashed with police in the Nairobi slum of Kawangware. Tensions flared there last week too as rival youth groups faced off against the police. Local media are reporting at least 10 people have been killed since the trouble began. Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i is believed to have sparked the latest round of protests. He was due to address crowds at a primary school in Kawangware, but was forced to leave when angry demonstrators stoned his motorcade. Well, we have teams on the ground across the country. Let's get you more now from them. I'm joined live from the opposition stronghold of Kisumu by Susan Wangeli. Voldi Karelse joins us live from Kenya's second city of Mombasa. Let's talk to you first, Susan. We've seen days of trouble in Kisumu with opposition supporters blocking the election from taking place there. How have people reacted to the results announcement? Thank you.
Well, as expected, the news that Uhuru Kenyatta had been declared the president was not received well here, and we had a lot of protesters going out to the streets and really basically protesting, which is contrary to what we experienced earlier on in the day. It was calm and businesses had returned to normal, but immediately that declaration was made and things just went the other way, and we saw youth blocking roads, we saw bonfires going up, and basically a lot of youth here chanting anti-IEBC and anti-Uhuru slogans. They say that they do not recognize the elections, and they say that the elections were a sham. When we got an opportunity to speak to some of them, and this is what they had to say.
What is going on? Because Uhuru has been declared the president of the Republic of Kenya. But to us as the residents in Kisumu, we are not happy about it, because we are not going to recognize Uhuru as our president.
The chairman of IEBC has violated the constitution. Article 138, he has violated everything. So Uhuru Kenyatta will not be the president of this country.
I want to sound a warning to the IEBC officials. We are saying Kenyans are tired of this regime. And the only thing we are waiting for directives from our president, which we know, Raila Amolo Odinga. Wananchi Tibim, Wananchi Tibim, Wananchi Ria. We want election after 90 days.
And basically that has been the call here, saying that they want another election set up so that they can participate in it. And that was in Kondele market. We also had other markets like Kebuye, where it was similar. Protesters out there setting out bonfires. But basically this was a bit different from other protests that we've seen. It's not that many people came out to protest. But the other thing, again, we noticed is that there was no security presence. All this time that they're protesting, there wasn't any police in sight. And even now, as we were coming on air, we've not seen any police, more or less maybe just letting them do their thing and basically just letting them be. But generally, the one thing that these people are waiting for is that all-important statement from Raila Odinga. It was meant to come in today, but it seems as the way things are, then we'll have to wait until tomorrow. So basically, things as they are, they're a bit charged, but we wait until tomorrow just to see what direction Raila Odinga will appeal to his supporters to.
Okay, Susan Wangeli there in Kisumu, thank you. Now let's go to Voldi, who is in Mombasa. Calm for the most part during this entire process, but there's been quite a lot of voter fatigue. How are the residents of the city reacting to the announcement?
Well, Karen, it's not just voter fatigue. It certainly is a far more muted response here in Mombasa, nothing like we've seen in Kisumu or parts of Nairobi. People just basically wanting to get on with it. A lot of the people I spoke to today are actually looking to the future. They didn't even watch the IEBC announcement this afternoon. Many businesses were open. There was traffic as usual in Mombasa Central. So those were the scenes. People were either at work or they were at the beach if there were tourists here. As you know, tourism is of course a tourism hub. But why don't you just take a listen to what people had to say, young people specifically, who said they're actually tired of this election fever. Take a listen.
I, as a youth of Kenya and somebody who does business in Mombasa, We wanted this election fever to go to end so that we can do our business. As a young man, I cannot be fed. I need to work so that I can eat. And Alhamdulillah, right now we can go back to work.
Actually, right now we are on crisis. What I'd like to say, we need to finish up with this thing, because in real sense, we are the ones who are suffering the have-nots. But the haves, they are already them, they put food in their tables. Like us, we have to hustle to get a living. So what I'll say, no one eats at Uhuru's place, no one eats at Raila's place. So this thing has to be final, and we want to continue with our lives. That's it.
The thing that I can ask our leaders is just go to the table, dialogue, and see the things that we can do so that we can improve in our Kenya's economy. Simply because right now we can see there is a lot of crisis in big companies, in our Kenyan economies, and people are suffering. We are really suffering. The youths like us, we are losing jobs. We are struggling to get jobs. So what I can ask my fellow Kenyans, please go back to the table, sit like brothers and sisters, and we are going to be together.
As you can see, Karen, young people here in Mombasa are rather concerned about the high unemployment rate, and with the Ministry of Tourism warning a further slowdown, at least 20% slowdown in tourism numbers, it will certainly affect them given the political uncertainty should this continue into the high season that's coming up this month. So that is what they're preoccupied with, not necessarily the power struggles happening in Nairobi at the moment.
Okay, Valdi Karolse there in Mombasa, thank you very much. Now, let's get you more perspective on the development side of Kenya. I'm joined in the studio by political analyst Gabriel Muthuma. Thank you very much for coming in.
Karen, thanks.
Now, a lot of Kenyans are saying that this has dragged on for long enough. What happens now?
Thanks, Karen, for having me once again. Karen, we have two scenarios, and I'll actually capitalize them in A and B. Number one, the A1 is somebody, and I'm so sure, somebody will challenge this election. If it is challenged, we have several scenarios that will play out. Scenario number one, we'll expect the Supreme Court to sit and hear the cases within 14 days. So we are looking at November 20th when we get a verdict. If it's upheld, the election is upheld, then swearing in of President Uhuru will actually go on the 28th of November. Now, if nobody runs to the Supreme Court, which I surely know for sure somebody will run to the Supreme Court. If nothing happens, nobody challenges it, the way forward will be that President Uhuru Kenyatta will actually be sworn in and inaugurated on the 21st of November. That's the likely scenario that we are just about to see.
Okay, let's talk about the election drama. It once again highlighted the deep ethnic divisions within the country. How are we to address that?
Karen, actually, you've raised a very valid point. And actually, you look at how far we've come. And every time we keep talking about dialoguing and engaging, there's something factual that has come out. And we have realized that we are not as close-knit as we thought. So elections has just brought the worst out of Kenyans yet again. How do we progress in this? I think we need to depoliticize our narratives. We need to depoliticize the fact that we sit down. And by the way, we need to understand devolution, because I've had so many people talking about inclusivity and exclusivity. If we are to understand the true meaning of devolution as being the first step to understand where Kenya should be heading, then I think we need to have depoliticized discussions, clear and sober.
And, well, there's still hope, isn't there, that Kenya's political and judicial processes may pave the way. The whole election period has been unprecedented, hasn't it?
It actually has been. It actually has been. And you know what? Even as we speak here right now, it's so uncertain. We don't know what will happen next. The challenges, you know, the Supreme Court battles. We have to just wait and, you know, we exhaust all of this. But there's one important thing that we must know as Kenyans, that at the end of the day, the electorate must be informed. For democracy to work, Karen, the electorate must be informed. Failure to which, I can guarantee you, we are going to throw Kenya to the dogs.
Okay, thank you very much for coming in. Gabriel Muthuma, thank you very much for your analysis.
Karen, thanks for having me.